Hey everyone, Dr. Rodman with Sports Chiropractic, and I just want to share a great book that I just listened to on Audible. It's called Can't Hurt Me by a guy named David Goggins. And definitely, if you're not going to listen to this book, you should at least YouTube him. He's got a great interview with Joe Rogan, and this guy is just a very mentally tough guy. I guess if I had to choose one kind of statement to say about him, he is the most mentally tough person I've ever heard of. And we all can learn something from him. I mean, he's on a level that's just incredible, but he's got a really interesting story to share. He's a Navy SEAL. He's a ultramarathon guy. He set the world record for most pull-ups in 24 hours with over 4,000 pull-ups. And he's not the most gifted of athletes. I mean, he's a great athlete, but his mental toughness, finding that dark place when he needs to, and just kind of, what he says, telling his mind to just kind of get out of the way and let his body keep going is what I think is incredible about him. And he wasn't always, blessed with that. He basically says that, he had a very incredibly tough childhood with an abusive father, growing up in a very racist town, just a lot of the experiences that he had young in life, very tough experiences, are what kind of got him prepared or trained him for what he went through later in life. And he didn't look at it as, why me? He used it as fuel and understood that that's what made him who he is today. And just kind of a short story from this book. It's a great thing to listen to. It goes into much greater detail, but he hit a breaking point in his 20s, and I think he was over 300 pounds, and he decided, he was going to become a Navy SEAL. And, at the time, he could barely walk down the block without losing his breath. And he decided he's just going to go and do it. So what he did was he put himself in the most uncomfortable situations to kind of build up his mental toughness, but also his cardiovascular endurance. So he would start running through, very bad neighborhoods. He would, run at all hours of the night, early morning. If he woke up to go to the bathroom, that he decided to go running. If it was snowing out, if it was raining out, the worst conditions, he would just put himself to the test, because what he wanted to do was my favorite thing called Callus the mind. And us as gym goers that are listening to this, we understand calluses on our hands from doing a lot of pull-ups, from doing a lot of bar work. Most CrossFitters understand callusing is basically, your soft hands become very rough, very thick-skinned from the abrasiveness that is forced upon them, the friction. All that loading can thicken the area to build it up to make it stronger for, future work on that area. So he said, he wanted to callus his mind. And I thought that was just such a great statement. So he said, by callusing your mind, you're increasing your mental toughness. And what you're doing is you're basically putting yourself in uncomfortable situations to make your mind stronger. So those tough experiences that we've had in life actually are what make you stronger as a person. And as a sports medicine physician, I love that, but I also question, how do you callus the mind? How do you make your mind stronger but not actually hurt yourself? Because yes, I mean, if you listen to his book, he's had injury upon injury, setback, and then comeback. I mean, dozens and dozens of times, like severe injuries. And, obviously you don't want to put your life in a threatening situation. But what he says is don't do what he did. For instance, he ran a 100-mile ultramarathon, and I think at that time he had only ran maybe 10 miles at the most at one time, something like that. And he just decided that he was going to go ahead and do that. And he didn't really prepare for it. I think he brought like a Myoplex shake out there and didn't really have any idea of what to do. But he did get through it. And that story is an incredible story. And it wasn't a pretty story. He, blood was coming out of every hole of his body. I mean, he diarrheaed himself at mile 70. He couldn't control his bodily functions, but he pushed himself through it. He says, don't do, what I did. Because if you listen to this book, some people might think, okay, well, he's mentally tough. I need to take it to that next level and do that stuff. But, what he does say is, maybe push yourself 5% more than the week before. And I think something like that is acceptable for, the person who's just starting to increase their callousing of their mind. Maybe in the gym you do, one more rep, or you do 5 more pounds, or you do, something that's a small feat, and you build on that day after day, week after week. But I just want to share with you my favorite part of the book was him talking about callousing the mind. I've never heard of that before. There's a lot more great things that he shares in the book. So if you're looking for something to listen to on your way to work, or a great book just to read, or you just want to YouTube him, I would watch his interview with Joe Rogan. I think it's episode 1080 on Joe Rogan's podcast. So, but just an interesting story, and something that we all can use somehow in our lives, whether it's for physical conditioning, or even, maybe we're trying to study for a degree or something like that. So hope you enjoyed this video today. Go ahead and listen to David Goggins, and have a great day.